Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our Plant of the Week podcast, brought to you by Bonide Products, family made in America. Visit Bonide.com to find a retailer near you. Each week, Plant Talk Radio's Fred Hauer focuses on a plant that would be a great addition to your landscape. Now for this week's Bonide Products Plant of the Week.
And the plant of the week is one that I do not happen to have on my property, and that's fine. But I have the great pleasure of having helped a lady who then donated her place to the city of Columbus, or Parks and Rec, about 43 years ago. There were three of them, Kousa Dogwood, Kousa. I don't know whether I ever mentioned it on air before. It is a fantastic dogwood. It doesn't have some of the problems of the common dogwood. It does have a few of its own, but it's a plant that is presently blooming. I happen to be thinking of it by seeing it on a situation that I drove by the other day. A background of some very dark-leafed things, and then I'm going to say mid-growth size on Kousa Dogwood that stood out like rays of light against that dark background. The flower is, it can be many things, but the original is kind of a creamy white. The difference between the common dogwood and this one is that on the common dogwood, the petals, bracts as they actually are squared on the end, whereas this one is pointed. It's a little creamier. However, as I mentioned creamy, there are, I think, 18 cultivars of it, even some weeping types and so on. But just as a standard plant is concerned, you can get it or you can make it yourself, be a single stem tree. It is also very, very nice in a less formal way as a multiple stem tree. It's a 20 to 30 foot wide by 20 to 30 foot high plant. And when I mentioned 43 years, these plants have long since been surrounded by great big spruce and so on. They're still holding their own in the more shaded area. They don't require, at least in my opinion, they don't require as much fooling around with the soil to make it acid. They certainly appreciate that. As a matter of fact, it is their best bet. But it's one of those things that you don't think of it until you see it this time of year. All the common dogwoods have been done for 3-4 weeks already, and boom, here's one that's absolutely beautiful. And if you don't know what it is, you just kind of go by and in awe, you say, well, that's a pretty thing, and keep on moving. Well, probably what it was a common dogwood that is, let's just say like common dogwood, but it's multiple stemmed usually. It's like me. It's spreading a little as it grows in age and so on. And nice dark green leaves, a beautiful plant, and then a good fall color, and then it has what's called a drupe fruit. Just think of a little ball, half an inch in diameter, full of seeds on a stem that looks like a cherry stem. It's about that same size as a big old black cherry that is edible. Now, I don't recommend it, and I wouldn't try to make pies out of it. It's kind of chewy and I don't know what you call it. Not pleasant, but if you were lost in the woods in the fall and you had to eat something, it is definitely edible. But at the same time, it's a wonderful landscape plant. As I say, 20 to 30 high and wide. It is well worth your consideration for a lot of reasons. As a single individual on your property, back corner, up near the house, it's even big enough in time to shade a patio a little bit. It's just one of those plants that is quite idyllic, and it's certainly underused as far as the landscape is concerned.
Kousa Dogwood.
Kousa Dogwood.
Kousa.
Yep. And it's comes in the manyest styles, colors, over into the pink. There are some variegated leaf types. It's just one of those trees that is beautiful. I even saw it in the snow up in Cleveland one time, ice and snow. It was a multiple stem tree, probably 15 to 18 feet tall, iced down, and it literally spread out like the stays of an umbrella, and the tips touched the ground and froze to the ground temporarily. Then when it thawed, and thank God the owner didn't try to go out and knock the ice off, when it thawed, it stood right back up again. Of course, just like aging and everything else, that's one of the things that helps make it spread is when Mother Nature lays it out like that.
Thanks again for listening to our podcast, brought to you by Bonide Products at Bonide.com. Plant Talk Radio offers other podcasts as well, including our daily Your Gardening Question podcast and our weekly Plant Talk Radio, all available on iTunes or your preferred podcast player. If you have a plant suggestion for Fred, send him an email, fred@planttalkradio.com.